Okay, I'd like to call the City of Redondo Beach Public Art Commission regular meeting held this Wednesday, January 25th, 2023, in the Redondo Beach City Council chambers located at 415 Diamond Street, Redondo Beach, called the meeting to order at 7 p.m. And I'll turn it over to staff for roll call, please.
Commissioner Cagle,
Here.
Commissioner Christian Kelly, Commissioner Klein,
Here.
Chairperson Lappin,
Present.
Commissioner Melendez,
Yes.
Commissioner Pucci,
Present.
and Commissioner Sharma.
Present.
Okay, if everybody will stand and join me in the salute to the flag, please. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, moving on to the order of agenda. May I have a motion to approve the order of agenda, please?
I'll make that motion to approve.
Commissioner Pucci's made the motion. Commissioner Cagle has seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, there are no blue folder items this evening. Moving on to item F, the consent calendar. Business items, except those formally noticed for public hearing or discussion, are assigned to the consent calendar. The commission members may request that any consent calendar items be removed, discussed, and acted upon separately. Items removed from the consent calendar will be taken up under the excluded consent calendar section, and those items remaining will be approved in one motion following oral communications. Does anyone wish to remove anything?
I do not.
Okay, then moving on to the minutes, item F2, the minutes from the September 28th, 2022 meeting will be on the March 22nd, 2023 agenda for approval. I would like to make a note to those minutes. I received an email from Commissioner Sharma with the following correction. Commissioner Sharma announced that the Janice Ann Bach Art at the Malaga Code Library will take place from September 1st through October 15th, 2022. A reception will take place on September 9th, 2022 from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. It was not the Janice Ann Bach Art. It was the Redondo Beach Art Group art exhibition. And the dates were from September 1st through November 4th, 2022. So if those could be corrected before the minutes post, that would be good. Moving on to the John Parsons Public Art Fund report. Mr. Margolis, would you like to give that, please?
I have nothing to add than what's in the report.
Okay, well, so just to announce it on the record, that the John Parsons Art Fund has $941,206.96. And are you able to identify, Mr. Margolis, the new deposits that show on that report?
So I tried to, and there's certain parts of the financial software that I can't get into. So I sent financial services a message and asked them if I could have access to that.
Okay, so then when we have our next meeting, it would be nice to know at the meetings when we do have deposits to the account, what those projects are. A lot of them we are not familiar with. And if we could include anything that from this point forward until our next meeting, plus was what's appearing on this meeting and what appeared in our September meeting, there was, I think that was Aria, I can't remember. But it would be nice to know what those deposits are for so that the commissioners are kept up to date on what's happening in the community. Okay. May I have a motion to receive and file the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Klein has made that motion. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Sharma seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. There are no excluded consent calendar items. So moving on to public participation on non-agenda items. I know we have some people here tonight that would like to speak, and I don't know if there's any e-comments as well. So I'm going to turn it over to staff, please.
Chair, we have no e-comments and no one on Zoom, but we do have a public participation in person. We have Ron Morocco. Ron, you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you, Chair Latham and the rest of the commission. I'm here just to share an idea. I'm not here in my capacity as the Historic Commission. So one of the things, I'm passing out 2 pieces of paper. I just want to bring an idea to your forefront. When you do get around to talking about the transit center, one of the things popped up that I shared with Councilman Obaji, and then he shared it with both Director Harding as well as Commissioner Melendez with regards to an idea for the transit center. I know that you're moving the sculpture from that location to another location, but this is an idea that may be able to help fill in the gap on it. And it's with an artist that you may be familiar with, the Six Sails over on PCH in Catalina. This is the sculptor who designed it. He's designed what's called a red car. And Redondo Beach is really rich with red car history. It's one of the historically significant. Another nice thing is the transit center is right by one of the old traditional stations that got torn down, which was the Belvedere station, and it's transportation related. So it's a cool sculpture. You have the ability to increase the size or dimension on the back of the page. It's currently in its form in Long Beach, but it can be modified to go to Redondo as far as that goes. We had our own red cars as far as that goes. It's within a reasonable cost that I think you can cover with regards to that. So I'm hoping that when you do ultimately get around to the transit center art piece, that this is something you keep in mind with regards to that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. We have received these from, I'm assuming Mr. Morocco has given us this accompanying material. Where did this come from? Who did?
Yeah.
Yes, I was the one who presented it.
Okay, so I'm sorry, but I was listening to you, so I didn't see that. So may I have do I need to make a motion to receive and file this? So may I have a motion to receive and file the materials to Mr. Morocco's report to us regarding the red car sculpture?
I'd like to make a motion to receive and file.
And Commissioner Pucci has made the motion. Is there a second?
I second.
I'm sorry, who seconded?
Commissioner Cagle.
Commissioner Cagle seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there any other public comment?
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I reached out to Mr. Margolis with a question regarding some public art in the area of the International Boardwalk that is currently covering up the old arcade. I understand that there's some work going on within the arcade, and that's going to be a temporary bit of cover until they do something else. So I represent the business owners at the boardwalk, and we wanted to see about putting some artwork on there. We're not really asking for the city to pay for it unless you want to, but we think we can fund it or find someone to donate it. And I just didn't know the first steps towards making that happen. So I don't know if I need to bring some suggested artwork first, or if I can meet with you afterwards and get an email, or if there's a form or something, but that's basically it. We wanted to just see something pretty there because it's just kind of a blank wall right now.
I'm sorry, may I have your name?
My name is Rachel Marinus.
Thank you. And Rachel, did you wish to present something to the commission? Are you seeking the commission to help you identify an art piece? What is it that you're looking for?
I think I'm just looking for what is the first step. Do I need to present something? Do I need to present it at a meeting? Do I need to email you? Is there a form? That sort of thing. So I don't know if you're allowed to answer me here or if I can talk with someone after, just sort of opening the dialogue.
So I would
Is that a
think,
city-owned property?
It is city-owned.
It is city-owned? Okay.
so I would think that the first step would be for you, and Mr. Margolis, please correct me if I'm wrong, but to send an email to Mr. Margolis and ask to have this put on to be considered as an agenda item at one of our next meetings. And he can work back and forth with you on what needs to be presented at that time.
Okay, great.
And then we can have a good discussion about it.
That sounds great.
So would it be a consideration and possible approval of a location for a new commission? Is that what it would be?
Well, I think that would be the question, like if they're privately open to fund it.
She said it's city-owned property.
Yeah.
So I believe the criteria would be that you're looking to have an art piece put there as a piece of public art. It's a city-owned property, and that what you would you like to see something specific there? Do you want the Public Art Commission to assist you in identifying something that we feel would be appropriate
I
there?
think what we're looking for is something along the lines of what they put in the, where the patios were in the village, and just something beachy that's temporary. So.
All right, so if that's what you're thinking, you can send that to Mr. Margolis at what your thoughts are, and we can discuss it in greater detail once it becomes an agenda item for a future art project.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you.
That's a great space.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Do I need to make a motion to agendize that for our next meeting, or just a
Well, we
note?
don't know when she's going to come.
Okay,
You'll come to the next one?
or the subsequent meeting.
Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, should I I'll go ahead and make a motion to put it on the agenda for the very next meeting.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Klein has made that motion. May I have a second?
I'll second it.
Commissioner Sharma has seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, so if there's nothing else on public participation, non-agenda items, there's no e-comments, then we can close this and move on to item J1, which is the election of officers. We have 3 positions that we need to vote in tonight. The chair position, the vice chair position, and the secretary position. And so let's start with the chair position, and I'd like to ask for nominations for the chair position.
I think I nominate you again.
I'm sorry?
Would like to nominate Susan.
Okay, and Commissioner Pucci?
I don't, can I pass?
Can you pass?
about it,
Do you
yeah.
want me to come back to
me,
you?
please, yeah.
Commissioner Melendez?
I nominate Olivia Pucci.
I'm sorry?
I nominate Olivia Pucci.
Okay, thank you. So,
Wouldn't the proper process be if someone makes a motion, then don't you see if somebody wants to second that motion before you go on to another
It's
motion?
not a motion, it's asking if I'm calling for nominations.
Oh, all right, I'm sorry.
Okay, so right now I'm calling for nominations, and then we will move on to voting for people who are nominated after I make sure that the people who've been nominated are interested. So,
I apologize.
Commissioner Klein? Commissioner Cagle?
I'm fine with the nominations right now.
Okay, so two people have been nominated, Susan Lappin and Olivia Pucci. And Olivia Pucci, did you want to make another nomination or, okay. Are you willing to accept a nomination to be voted on?
I am.
Okay, and I'm willing to accept a nomination to be voted on. So what I'm going to do is take a vote, and we'll go through, and then we'll formally acknowledge the vote. Commissioner Cagle?
Lappin,
Commissioner Klein?
Pucci.
Commissioner Melendez?
Olivia Pucci.
Commissioner Pucci?
Pucci?
Okay. Commissioner Sharma?
Lappin.
Okay, so unfortunately, Christina is not here, Christian Kelly, and so I am going to step back, and I am going to, I know Commissioner Pucci has been interested in assuming the chair position for a couple of years. So I'm going to step back and allow her to, let her assume that. So I'm going to vote for you.
Oh,
There you go.
thank you.
Yay. Exciting.
Because otherwise we'd have a tie and we'd have to go on. So with that, I'd like to, I'm going to wait and call for my motions after all positions have been put in there. So
So for the chair right now, it's Commissioner Pucci.
at this moment, yes. So I now would like to call for nominations for the position of vice chair. Commissioner Sharma?
Well, I wanted to nominate her, but now I'll nominate Marcy.
Okay. And Commissioner Pucci?
Lappin?
I'm sorry?
You, Lappin?
Okay. So Commissioner Melendez?
I nominate you as well.
Okay. And Commissioner Klein?
I nominate you as well.
Commissioner Cagle?
Lappin.
And I would like to nominate Commissioner Sharma. So
That's a good idea.
I am going to ask Commissioner Klein, are you willing to accept the nomination for vice chair?
No, thank you.
So Commissioner Sharma, are you willing to accept the nomination for vice chair?
No, I'm fine.
No?
She said no.
Go ahead, Commissioner Klein.
Did you, I don't know what that responsibility really is, but if you needed the help.
So the vice chair
Lappin.
the vice chair basically is the second in it for the chair, and at such time, if the chair is not able to assume their duties or if they're absent, then the vice chair will take over that.
Yeah, okay.
Are you willing to accept that?
No, thank you.
Okay, and I don't know that I wish to accept it either, so I'm going to come back to this.
Okay.
And, well, all right,
Yeah, come back to it.
I'm going to come back to this. So I'm going to now go on to the secretary position. And may I have a nomination for secretary? The current secretary is Commissioner Cagle. Commissioner Sharma, may I have?
What does the secretary do? What is the role of the
Secretary is basically an honorarium position. They really don't have much responsibilities at all.
Okay. Oh, Commissioner Cake. I nominate
Commissioner Cagle's been nominated. Commissioner Pucci, do you have another nomination?
Commissioner Sharma.
Commissioner Melendez,
I would nominate Commissioner Sharma as well.
Commissioner Klein,
Were you interested in it again? Because I would nominate you.
Sure.
Okay. Commissioner Cagle.
and Commissioner Cagle.
Myself.
Okay, so we have two people nominated for the position of secretary. And I would like to then take a poll. Are you, Commissioner Sharma, are you interested in accepting that nomination?
No, let Commissioner
Yes?
Cagle continue. No,
Oh,
let
no,
her continue.
okay.
Yeah,
So,
that's fine.
okay, so then the nominee for secretary is Commissioner Cagle. Would like to take a vote, please. Commissioner Sharma,
Yes, for Cagle.
Commissioner Pucci,
Yes.
Commissioner
Yes.
Melendez, Commissioner Klein.
Yes.
Commissioner Cagle, yes. So
Yes,
may
thank
I
you.
have, and I say yes as well, may I have a motion to accept Commissioner Cagle as secretary?
Make a motion to accept.
Commissioner Pucci has made the motion. May I have a second?
I'm second.
Commissioner Sharma is seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. So I am going to ask Mr. Margolis if we can table the vice chair position until our next meeting when we have all commissioners here. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. So right now, as it stands, Commissioner
Maybe you should take a motion, though, to do that.
I beg your pardon?
A motion to do that.
Yeah, I
Motion to
will.
table, okay.
So right now, it's as it stands, Commissioner Pucci is the chair, Commissioner Cagle is the secretary, and I would like to ask somebody to make a motion to table the vice chair position to be voted on at our next meeting in March.
I'll take that motion to,
Commissioner Pucci has made that motion. May I have a second? Commissioner Sharma has seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, so now that we have a new chair,
Do you want to do a motion for that one, the chair?
I beg your pardon?
Did you want to do a motion for the chair? Because I think you only did your straw poll.
or do we not make a motion?
You actually did formal
Okay,
motions for
so
the other two.
I'm sorry. So then may I have a motion to accept Commissioner Pucci as the chair and Commissioner Cagle as the secretary?
I'd like to make that motion.
Commissioner Pucci's made the motion. Commissioner Sharma has seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So with that, since we have a new chair now, I believe that we should turn it over to Chair Pucci to lead the discussion.
Okay. I believe we then have closed that and moved to J2. Call for artists, pre-qualified mural artist roster, and then turn that over to staff.
Well, I prepared a report, and I really don't have anything to add more than what's in the report. So I'm just curious to hear your discussion.
Okay.
Well, but so I think, can I just
sorry.
interject? I think you need to give the report so that it becomes part of public record and people who's sitting can hear what the report is.
You want me to read the report?
Maybe a gist of it, right?
I think that
Or the recommendation?
you need to give the report. That's the way we've always done it in the past, that the report has been presented and then it's opened up to discussion for. And you could just give the I don't think you need
Okay.
to give the verbatim of the call for artists or any of that, just the administrative reports.
So the background for this item is on September 21st of 2022, at the Public Art Commission meeting, the commission asked staff to prepare a call for artists for a pre-qualified mural artists roster, with the expectation that creating such a roster would expedite the selection of artists for already approved mural projects. Staff prepared a draft call for artists for this, to cover this, and it differs from other call for artists that the commission has approved prior in the following ways. First, it conveys the city's values regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. It uses an online portal for the collection of applications. Review panelists will also be able to review applications online. It provides for a rolling approval process whereby the commission may review applications and add artists to the roster at any time they choose, thereby facilitating an expedited process. And it provides for staff to convene review panels, which may include persons other than commissioners, again, facilitating an expedited review process. The recommendation from staff is to approve a call for artists for a pre-qualified mural artist roster and authorize staff to make any changes required by city policies and procedures and/or as directed by the Community Services Department Director prior to releasing the approved call. That ends my report.
Great. I love that this is finally in our agenda. I know that we've all been really wanting to have a mural artists roster for a while now. So I don't know if everyone's been able to read through what the staff has put together. But I am very encouraged that we have this to move forward with. Mr.
Just to be clear, because we have people in the audience, we got some young people that haven't been in here. It's nice to see some of the people that are here. Just so you guys understand what just happened is that in normal circumstances, before I got here, there's a call to artists that goes out to the universe or whatever, and then we get this whole pool of artists. Anytime we have a project that they come in and we got to go through this whole thing. So the idea that this is what this is that we're going to have a permanent roster that we have artists that we've used or we intend to use, and it's already there instead of always putting something out there and then having to wait. So hopefully we'll have some list that'll facilitate this in the future. So when we have projects that come up, like your project that you just talked about, we'll have a list that will facilitate this being faster.
Klein?
Does the city staff know when this call to artists will be sent out and how it will be seen and by whom it will be seen? Do we have any kind of marching orders yet?
Well, I mean, I don't know the exact date when it would be set out, but I do have a list of websites where call for artists for public art projects are normally posted, and I'll post it on as many of them as we can afford to do. So I already joined Arts for LA when we put out the RFP for the historic library projects. I would probably want to join Americans for the Arts and use their list, the California Arts Council, and use their program. And there are a variety of others. If any of you have recommendations for places to post it, I'd be happy to look into those as well.
Actually, at previous meetings, we actually have created, and we had a subcommittee, we actually created lists and delivered it to you of various art organizations where we would like it to go. Remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, we did. Perhaps since he's
Brand new.
that we could resend that to him if you have that.
I don't know that I have it. It's somewhere agendized. I mean, it's somewhere in the minutes.
Okay.
Go ahead.
But no, I have another question as far as, since we're all discussing this,
Okay,
right?
hold on. Let me get to.
So the RFQ says that the timeline for the release of the proposal or of the RFQ is February 15th, with the first review of applications to be done on March 22nd. So that's the timeline. Mm-hmm. And I know Mr. Margolis has a whole series of places that he plans to have this RFQ go out to, but I'm assuming that he would welcome any additional places that that anybody would like to suggest to him to have it go out. I know I personally will be sending it to the Friends of Redondo Beach Arts and the Redondo Beach Art Group, and there's many other places. So the commissioners, I'm sure, can send the RFQ out as well. And anything that you would like to suggest to Mr. Margolis, you can just send it to him directly. That would be my recommendation.
I just don't have the date that we did this list, but I know that we spent a lot of time as a commission putting it together, and it's there somewhere in the city files. I don't know how to look it up.
for it.
Yeah, but it'd be great because it'd probably be a nice help. There's probably like 30 names with links.
Okay. Commissioner Melendez?
Just broad stroke stuff, kind of. When this will go out, it'll solicit painters, muralists, sculptors, that type of artwork.
Well, that was, when you made your comments to the public, that question came up because what you asked me to do was to put together a call for mural artists.
Correct.
If you want a pre-qualified list of artists for any kind of project, I think I would need to slightly change the introductory paragraphs where we talk about what we're looking for.
Okay, just to be clear, that's a specific project that we came up with for the mural subcommittee. This list, from what I understand when we discussed it, this isn't to have a running list, a roster of
Can I
artists.
answer that? So this art request for qualification in the future, if we want to do another RFQ for sculptors or other things that we think that we have coming, I would think it would be better to keep them separate, and we would have a pool of artists to choose from when we do utility boxes. We have a pool of artists to choose from when we do murals, and then we could, expand that as we go down the line. That would be my suggestion.
I'll come back to you on that. Yes, I wanted to say that the September meeting was on the 28th, not the 21st, as in our agenda here. And I wanted to talk about this pool. I like the idea of the pool, but then depending on the location, again, we will make an RFQ for the particular location and call for artists for that, because then a
That's in
location.
this as well. If you read through the whole, it includes that it can go out to not only just the artists that are found in the pool, but also to.
But that would be for a particular location. So we will end up sending, besides this, and we review these artists, and then when we have a location, then for location A and B, then we send another RFQ to our pool of artists as well as the other artists, because we would want, now we want the art.
The purpose of the pool is to have a group that you can choose from. So let's say you're going to do a specific project, and let's say you have 20 artists in the pool. You might select, the Public Art Commission might select 4 or 5 of them for us to review, to choose from that group, and then those would get a special request to give a proposal for a specific project. But that way you wouldn't have to do it, you'd be able to have something to draw upon, as opposed to having to go out for a whole other new thing. And so, or you have things that have been pre-approved and pre-qualified, maybe at that point you want to only choose 1 or 2.
Similar to the Pew presentation that we gave where we presented the artist for that project, something like that.
Yeah, so right now, then we are selecting the artist. See, in the utility box, we have the artwork. We are selecting the artwork, not the artist, for a particular utility box.
That's the difference.
And now we will be first reviewing all the artists, and then when we have a location, then we reach out to them, and then we tell them to propose an artwork for that location, and then we review it.
Yeah. Or we come together, like we have a subcommittee where we've already agreed upon, for instance, the Gertruda and Catalina, and we already know the theme that we want. So if we have a pool of artists, we can say, I bet these 3 or 4 would be really great at putting this theme together per what they've shown us as what they do.
Yeah, but so when we are doing that call for artists, shouldn't the city or we as a commission be putting a budget for the location and not the other way around?
I mean, we can, it's
You
open.
can, you do limit it though, right? Like
I mean, it says within this
Yeah,
that
budget
it
is a
can
limit, right?
exceed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it won't ever exceed a certain amount.
Right, true, but if you're putting a price on artwork you haven't seen yet, it limits.
That is why you put, you have a location, you give out a proposal, and you say, this is the budget for this location. If it is a big wall or big mural you're thinking.
I kind of agree with you. I know what you're getting at as far as making, so we can allocate the but
Yeah.
you're limiting, as an art person,
No, I understand, as an art
I'll
person
fit
too.
my art to what your budget after you tell me. But if you tell me I'm stuck in this box, you're only going to get what's supposed to be in that box. Does that make sense? Like if you tell me, I
Yeah,
only
but
have
you
50, you're
cannot
getting
have
50 bucks
sky be
worth.
the limit, right? Because we are still part of the city, we have to follow a budget, we have to make a budget.
But when you're
No,
talking about
absolutely.
art,
There's
we're
gonna
not
be a
talking about,
budget.
yeah.
There's definitely going to be a budget. This isn't just, we pick artists and they get to choose the amount. We have
yeah.
an account that only has so much money that we have to be mindful of.
'Cause then-
So it's definitely within the project budget. It says project budget may range from 10,000 to 100,000. So it's up to us to decide what we want to spend in that location, and for our budget, does that make
Yeah, but what I
sense?
was getting at, when you have this pool, then you have to send, like the proposal, you choose those three, suppose you choose three artists to pick for a particular location. And then we are going to repropose saying that this is our budget, this is the location, and now you give your art that you propose for this location, and this is the theme that we are looking at. What I'm thinking is, it's like we are maybe going twice with the whole thing. You don't think so?
Yeah, but so the beauty of this is you have already done a request for qualifications. You have a pool of artists, hopefully it's 10 to 20, I'm going to use that as an example. And they've been reviewed, vetted, you know what they're capable of. Then you have a project and you say, okay, we're going to do this project at this location and we are going to set a budget for this dollar amount, and we're going to set a timeline for this dollar amount and whatever other criteria you want. And then you can choose from that pool of 10 to 20 artists who you want to ask to submit a proposal for that specific project when you've delineated all of the criteria for that project. And you probably will have to pay somebody to submit a proposal
Yes.
to a design project.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying, that should be dictated from us.
Yes, but that, once you select the project, you don't have to go out to the whole world again. You have a pool of pre-qualified artists that you've already chosen that you are going to ask to respond to your request for a presentation. But all the criteria will be dictated based on a specific project.
Okay.
Yeah.
We just want to vet the artists, so we're not just siphoning through the art, but also, do they have the ability? Do they have the qualifications?
Right,
And then we will put the parameters together.
But if we don't have this, just in case. Okay, I like the idea.
We all agree. We're
Yeah.
just,
I'm saying we
talking
are doing the
particulars.
same thing twice, is what I feel.
It's kind of like just having a collection of resumes. You know, a bunch of people that meet the
Yeah, I know,
criteria.
I know, I get
we
it.
they're
don't have to
sitting in
go,
a folder.
we don't have to fish again.
And we don't have to, like, if we're sitting here and we decide, yes, let's cover this particular building, we can go together and say, we have these 20 to choose from. Let's all look and see which ones we like best. Who would fit this idea best? And then we'll just pick 5 of them and ask 5 of them we'll pay 5 of them to do the proposals.
Yeah.
And then we only have to pick from 5, but we don't have to wait again and do another call once we know what location we're moving forward on.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the idea.
Okay.
I think we all agree. We're just talking about the particulars.
So in regards to this, do we need to take a vote or make a motion, or both?
Well, I mean, do you want, you
Would we
could,
like to accept this, or would you guys like to go through the actual artist roster pre-qualification to see if anyone has questions on it? Or has everyone read this already?
Of course.
Of course.
Everybody should have read it already, and so maybe we just want to decide that we want to move forward on that.
Okay, just wanted to check.
Yeah.
Okay, so everyone has read this. Everyone knows exactly what this is. I would like to take a poll on everyone agreeing to accept this as our mural roster call for artists. Commissioner Sharma,
Yes.
Melendez,
Yes.
Hoppin,
Yes.
Klein,
Yes.
Cagle.
Yes, I really like it.
Me too. I agree. So would someone like to make a motion to receive and file?
Move forward.
It's actually, use the text that's right there in the recommendation. So it'd be a motion to approve a call for artists for blah, 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 blah.
Okay, approve for a call for artists for a pre-qualified mural artist roster. Would someone like to make a motion?
Well, you need to, the whole thing, because
Oh, okay.
in the event that somebody would say to me, this particular item, it violates the city policy, and
Okay.
you don't want to wait 2 more months for me to bring it
the
back to you. So
wording.
you want to authorize me to be able to keep it in compliance with any city policies.
Okay. Someone like to make a motion to approve call for artists for the pre-qualified mural artist roster and authorize staff to make any changes required by city policies and procedures and/or as directed by the Community Service Department Director prior to release the approved call.
I would make that motion for a call for artists for a pre-qualified mural artist roster.
I will second that.
Second. Okay, Commissioner Melendez made the motion and Klein second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
She has a question.
Oh,
Quick question.
Commissioner Klein?
Since we're in the same area, can we request that we do one of these calls for sculptures and other art and get it in the works so that we actually send out the other call for artists as well? So it's all done? Yes? Okay, great. Thanks.
Well, I mean, how many do you want? Or do you want one more to cover everything else?
Maybe to cut, I don't know how
I
to,
think just.
to keep it organized. I mean, maybe there's, what kinds of,
That's the thing is,
There's different
that
kinds
this
of
was
arts.
what my discussion would have been before as far as the call for artists. Like,
Why
we're-
don't you, here's a suggestion. Why don't you see what comes in?
Yes.
And you always have the ability to select an artist from this roster for a project that wouldn't be a mural by amending this motion to say you want to approve this as a pre-qualified roster for other kinds of projects. And then if you don't have a nice cross-section of artists, then you can,
can we just say other artists?
right now,
Yeah.
well, but are you talking about, I mean, you sort of had this discussion before. Are you talking about actually changing the text of the description of what
Not
we're
for this, for the next one. For this one, we'll go with mural, and then from this point forward, we'll say artists to include, and whatever. An artist to me is a musician,
Sure.
a painter, a muralist, someone that deals with tires,
for any
whatever it
kind of
is.
project that might come up?
Correct.
all different modalities of art or whatever?
Sure.
For
For now, we'll move forward with this particular call for artist mural roster and then see how this moves forward.
We don't want to just get another big call going now, so that way we're ready to go when we decide that we know that we might want to have some sort of sculpture at the transit station. We were kind of talking about that. There's a lot of art that I know that we want to move forward on if we get an sort of a more general call for artists for all different types of art. They're there.
Sure.
Because only the mural artists are kind of specific artists.
It is specific.
Yeah.
That's this.
And also to leave room.
Commissioner Doppin?
So I do not believe that I think we should keep it clean. I think we should send the mural RFQ out immediately so that we can move forward. We have projects we know that are coming up. We don't want to confuse people in the art world by having 7,000 things for people to respond to. I think we should do just the mural project. I think that when we come up with the transit center, we should do a specific call for artists for that specific project. And as we move forward and see see how our response is to the mural RFQ, then we can see how we might want to move forward with something different. But for right now, I think we should keep it clean and quick, and the language has been identified, it's all here, and I think that's the way we should move forward.
Well, and I also think you should think about, for those of you who are artists or know artists, how many applications for rosters, would you want to have to apply for in a month or a year? So if every public art program in the country would all of a sudden say, we're going to do, a pre-qualified roster, how many would you be able to apply for? And if you're a really high-end public artist, like some of our projects might require, you might not respond to a call unless it was for something that was more than $200,000 or, in the upper end. So if you limit yourself to only selecting artists for other kinds of projects from your pre-qualified roster, you may prevent a lot of good art. You may limit yourself and not be able to select a really good, someone who didn't who didn't respond to this call. But then you could say, well, we could always issue another call that would be broader, but then you're not supporting the expedited process. So it's kind of like, go ahead. Do you understand what I'm trying to say?
It's the same thing you were kind of fishing.
I think we will be rolling the ball so many times.
This is my argument for some of the projects that we came up and we gave the pitch for, as far as being able to have a list, right? A list of artists that we like and picking them. Mm-hmm. We skip all these steps. We skip 4 months, 6 months of going back and forth picking things. The idea for me when I got here, and I say this almost every meeting, is to expedite these processes. So when someone comes up and they ask for a muralist, the artwork on Monday, we pick, that's the goal as far as my understanding of having these rosters, whether it be a muralist, someone that does soundscapes, whatever it may be. I don't like limiting. I know everyone here talks about sculptures, paints, and those kind of things, but there's video and music we don't talk about here. I always like interjecting that. There's some artist out there that does something with sound that we don't know yet. So in the event that we come up with this other artist based on the muralist, like keeping this clean, taking this same structure and utilizing it towards something like you're saying, where we do have the breadth to solicit other artists that, again, without labeling a budget, putting something out there, hey, give me what you think would go good with this space. It doesn't necessarily have to be a sculpture. It doesn't necessarily have to be paint. It could be some kind of skateboard thing. Who knows? We don't know. But when you put prices on things and you don't leave room, we stay in this cycle of 6 months, 8 months to get things off the ground.
Okay, Commissioner Klein.
I think that we should almost duplicate this without a price tag and say to something other kind of, for an RFP for all different kinds of art, any kind of artist that you are. Redondo Beach might be looking for you. Please submit your art. And I know you posed the question earlier, if you were an artist, how many of these things would you apply for? Well, I know that if I see something that's right up my alley, or if I want to be on a bench or in line to have an opportunity as an artist, which I am, I would want to apply for that if I had time. So, and if I knew that the price tag, I know if I'm a mural artist, I would apply for this one because between 10,000 and 100 is good for me. If I see one with no price tag, I would apply for it anyways because I might want to do something for the city of Redondo and then find out what the price is later. I can use that same application almost twice.
But what would you be applying for?
For one application, I'd be applying just for a public art mural. To be sitting on a bench, to be sitting on a list of eligible. I'm on a list. I'm actually on a list to do work for a city corporation. I mean, a city public entity. I'm on a bench. And when they have a job, we will actually make a bid on it. And we have to, it's a task order, and then we make a bid on it. I'm sitting on a couple of those. And if I have the opportunity, I'm glad I'm there, but if I wasn't on there, I would not have the opportunity to be in the pool. So I think we should have another list besides just the mural list, but without a price tag on it.
See, my question right there is, if you're not on the list, then you don't have an opportunity. That is also wrong from an artist's perspective. So shouldn't we, when we have a location, then we also do an RFQ, call for artists, not just from the pool, but even beyond?
If we want to.
Sure.
Yeah,
why
so
not?
then again,
We're not,
But it
we're
says
not limiting
that
ourselves.
in here
It
as
says
well.
that, yeah.
Okay.
That you can, that we would be able to do both.
If we go down the list and we don't like anybody, we'll put another one out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
But if we
nothing saying
love
that we-
somebody, we can just go for it, and we don't have
Mr.
to.
Margolis, did you have something to say?
No. I mean, I think you addressed it. No, what I was concerned about was, are you working against yourself? If your goal is expediting a process.
Yes.
And you decide that you want to open up the process and possibly select an artist that isn't on your pre-qualified roster, then you're back to your two-step process where you have to do one request to get qualifications and another request to get proposals.
Which we already have.
Right, so what this would allow you to do would be to decide which projects you wanted to expedite and which ones you didn't, right?
Yes.
It's a nice choice to have instead
And
of.
I think it's nice for us to finally see something like this develop, so we know if we have to go out and open it up to people that aren't on our selected list. Because again, like we have our utility box project and we don't have many submissions come in. So if that's the same situation for our roster, then we'll have to. But we're really just trying to establish as much as we possibly can to expedite some of these things that we have on our list. So we already know we want to move forward with this. We've already agreed, we've already agendized, or not agendized, agreed and voted to move forward with this. I would like to, because there are going to be sculptures coming up, moving perhaps our next meeting, adding that to the agenda of having a pre-qualified mural artist for specifically sculptures.
Reword it. You called it a mural list again.
I mean, sorry, just specifically artist for sculptures.
Is that what, you wanted it for anything, right?
Oh, you wanted it
Other
for anything?
artists,
I'm going to open up for all artists,
all artists.
for murals, painting. I don't know if you
Sound,
can.
But we already agreed upon this particular.
I'm sorry, not for murals, for
You said
sculptures.
murals, you started it with.
I did the same thing that you did.
Yeah, she
Sorry.
just threw that in there.
I'm just saying,
You're not going to exclude muralists from.
I just think no artist should be excluded. If you're any kind of art that could go, any kind of art that,
This isn't about exclusion, this is about trying to move forward. How about, I totally 100% understand what you're saying, but for this meeting, like, we have already established that we want to move forward with this. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how many artists we get in. Let's
that's-
see how the pool starts.
Yeah, and
Let's
I mean,
see the
we're-
quality that comes in.
And we're also using a lot of new technology. So before, we try to copy a process with new technology that we haven't even tested. I kind of like that idea that, let's make sure that.
Yeah.
that-
Because 100%, it's not off the table of we need to create as much as we possibly can to help streamline all the projects we have on our list. For today's meeting, I think we are happy to move forward with this. Let's see how it works. There's new technology, like he said, that they're using. So let's,
can we at least have this apply to sculpture so we get sculptures in? Because remember, these artists are not going to have anything in till March, according to this time frame, right? So we're already in March. So if we wait till March to do another call, then we're going to get to the end of the year again before we even see the sculptures. I think we
but
need
we've
to.
already agreed on the wording of this. We've all voted already. It's already.
Can't we duplicate this except for leave the price tag out and change the word from mural to
Other
sculpture
artists.
or other sculpture / other art? This is so already done for us. All we have to do is just change a couple of words, just eliminate the price limit, say to be price to be range to be determined at the time of selecting the location and the theme.
Okay, we've
It's so
already
simple.
agreed and we've already voted, so this has already been.
Did you already vote?
Made a motion.
Yes, we made a motion to.
Right, did you vote on that motion, or did you just?
I mean, this,
Yeah.
We voted.
You actually voted
and-
too?
Yeah.
yeah, this is great. Why can't we just do another one? This one should be fine. It's good. And
We
but
did
can, a
murals,
second one, can't
yeah.
we? Or do we have to put it on the agenda for next
Oh,
month
yeah.
to do another one with sculpture in 2 months from now?
Theoretically, the idea of having something on the agenda and publicized ahead of time would be to give people an opportunity to comment. So, I mean, do we have hundreds of artists out there that, I mean, because we didn't actually call for public comment before we voted.
Oh,
It might have
okay.
been- Do we? Yeah, so we
Okay.
probably should.
Okay.
So we would want to agendize any kind of additional process so that we could get public input.
Okay. So if anything, we're the next meeting, right?
Okay. Because we did not call to public, I'd like to call for public comment.
That's good then. That's good. Glad to get you excited.
My name
3
is
minutes to speak.
Georgette Gantner. I live in Redondo Beach. I think it's District 2, 3, whatever. I was on the Public Art Commission the first 10 years. So I'm listening to you guys and I got a little bit of background on this. First of all, what I would do is, I think it's good what you're saying. I think, first of all, your report was fantastic. One comment I would like to say though, is you said, I've done it, read it. The reason you read and present yours is because I and people who are watching haven't heard it. So you need to do a presentation. Sorry, that's the way it was always done in my experience. The other thing is, as far as the projects are concerned, I think the mural thing should go out, but maybe you do an addendum or you do something now to where you say, you think about, okay, what do we want to see in the city for the next year? And maybe it's sculptures, maybe it's a lot of things. And maybe that's what determines the RFP that goes out. Sculptures always murals and sculpture, I mean, those are the basic public art kinds of projects. So I would not present sculpture. I would definitely include that. I think you always need a budget because that's the first question when an artist looks at something. What are they paying?
Yeah.
Do I even want to waste my time or, oh, this is great, I do want to do this. And someone said also, you may have to pay for proposals. I don't need answers on these, but I don't ever remember paying for proposals. I could be wrong. That's it. Anyway.
Your name
Yes.
again?
Georgette Gantner. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for participating. I would like to see what, I guess, anyone else has to say. Is there any public comment online?
Chair, we have no one on Zoom and no e-comments on this item.
Okay. So my opinion on this situation, being on the subcommittee for murals, knowing presentations that we have for other artists, I do want to get to the point of opening up a roster of all artists. I think for tonight, we've made a motion. Do we need to do that again because we didn't have public comment?
Unless anyone wants to change their vote, I think you're okay.
I'll do a vote again, just to make sure. Would you like to move with this motion?
Yes.
Sharma?
Yes, yes.
Sir, what is the question?
Would you like to move forward with this motion of the,
She wants
Call
to
for
do a
artist.
do-over on the vote because we didn't ask for public comments prior to the
I
vote.
see. So yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I am a yes as well. So I'd like to make a motion, or who would like to make a motion?
I think Commissioner Melendez, did it before.
Yeah, I make the motion for us to have this mural project list.
Okay, and then second?
She had seconded, right? Yeah, I think she had seconded.
Okay, great. So we will move forward with,
We have to vote.
all in favor?
And call for the vote, yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No one opposes. Okay, All right, so let's move forward with item J3, discussion and possible action regarding using a sole source process to enter into an artist agreement in an amount not to exceed $100,000 with artist John Pugh to create a mural on a wall of the city-owned building at Catalina and Gertruda, currently being used by the Public Works Department. Pass it over to staff. Mr. Margolis.
It's on.
I'm waiting for the report to come up. Okay, so thank you to the public for their comments on that last item. The background on this item is many public art programs and public art professionals around the country have published research and opinion pieces on best practices in the field of public art. One of the most important and frequently discussed aspects of a model public art program is the process that is used to select artists and artworks. There are innumerable variations, but there is widespread agreement that a community's public art process should respond to the special characteristics of a community and take advantage of the opportunities at hand. There is also widespread agreement that the best way to accomplish those community-centric goals is to invite broad participation by the community to be served and by artists practicing in the field. The question every public art decision maker should be asking herself is not what is the most artistically desirable option, but rather what option will do the most to convince greater numbers of community members to engage with public art, understand how it benefits our community, and ultimately become a passionate advocate for public art. People are far more likely to engage with and support something they had a part in planning. The City of Redondo Beach's Public Art Master Plan, adopted on April 19, 2016, clearly envisions an artist selection process that values inclusion, community development, and consensus building. It describes a process that allows all voices in the community to identify significant issues, to articulate how those issues might be addressed, and to participate in reaching solutions together. This process can be cumbersome, lengthy, and challenging, but the results are usually worth the investment of time and energy and almost always result in increased interest within a community for issues related to the arts, culture, and community development. Staff knows of no public sector public art program in the country that would use a sole source process to commission a public artwork in the $100,000 range, except in the most unusual circumstances, and typically those circumstances would be where a broad cross-section of the community has already expressed its collective desire to have a specific artist create something. Or in the case where a particular artwork needed to be repaired, a public art program would obviously want to try to hire the artist who created the artwork to do the repair work. The City of Redondo Beach adopted the Public Art Master Plan on April 19, 2016, and among other things, it sets forth specific guidelines regarding the selection of artists and artworks. Beginning with the values and goals section, the plan speaks to the importance of an artist selection process defined by broad participation by as many stakeholders as is reasonable. Specific values and goals include the following: build the capacity of and cooperation between the private and public sectors, artists, arts, and community members. Encourage civic dialogue about important city issues. Involve a broad range of people and communities. Enhance opportunities for all citizens and organizations to participate in the planning and creation of artworks. Celebrate the city's cultural communities and provide opportunities for the community to collaborate and define areas of creative placemaking. These are all goals that are already in your plan, that prior commissions, have approved and that were approved by the City Council, and that I think are all, terrific things to be in a plan. The following guidelines for evaluating proposed projects selection speak to the inappropriateness of the sole source process. First, is the project making an effort to build capacity and cooperation between the private and public sectors, artists, arts organizations, and community members? Does the site or project provide an opportunity to engage citizens, neighborhoods, and organizations in the planning and creation of the artwork? Will the site project support an artwork that meets ADA regulations? And does the site or project provide an opportunity to celebrate one or more of the city's cultural communities? The following guidelines from the criteria for selecting artists section speaks to the inappropriateness of the sole source process. It says the process should foster a competitive application environment that results in strong proposals from artists and high-quality works of art for the city. The process should create opportunities for a wide range of artists, including emerging and established. A process request for proposals, an RFP, is recommended. Unlike a standard RFQ or RFP, a process RFP asks for an artist or team's qualifications, a description of their process for working, and very preliminary ideas. This format is respectful of artists and ensures that the selection panel has the best information. The selection method in most cases would be an open call for artists is recommended. This call may be distributed locally, nationally, or internationally, depending on the project needs. In cases where there is a specific artistic vision or a more renowned artist is desired, an invitational call may be used. Artist registries may be considered for large multi-year, multi-site projects, which is what you're pursuing. Does the proposed creative process involve community members in the design or creation of the artwork? Does the artist have experience working with communities, with diverse groups? Does the artist have a demonstrated ability to address ADA regulations as they apply to public art? Does the artist's previous or proposed process celebrate one or more of the city's cultural communities? Does the artist have experience in projects that bring people together or create gathering places? Does the artist have experience revitalizing or repurposing underutilized spaces? Now, Chapter 6, Title 2 of the city's municipal code declares that professional services are non-competitive and bids need not be received in any case where the city is depending upon the skill, integrity, judgment, and ability of the service rather than the dollar cost of the direct labor and material going into the service. Artists clearly fall into this category. In addition, the Public Art Master Plan recognizes that there may be situations where a competitive process is not required. Even when a sole source process is used, however, City Council must approve the selection and the Public Art Commission must be able to provide a rationale for why the skill, integrity, judgment, and/or ability of the selected artist was so exceptional it warranted ignoring all the other positive outcomes that accrue from a positive and participatory process. This is a very high standard to meet. For this reason and all the other reasons heretofore presented, staff opposes the use of a sole source process for selecting an artist to be paid in excess of $90,000 to create a mural on the Public Works building at Catalina, and it should be Gertruda, and will recommend to City Council that it should do the same should the commission decide to approve this selection. That concludes my report.
Great. Thank you so much for putting that together. Definitely all the information that we need for this. I would like to speak on this in regards, since I was on the subcommittee for the murals for this John Pugh mural proposal. Reading this, understanding this, speaking to our council members, I and the subcommittee, instead of going through the process of still asking for this to be a sole source process with John Pugh, that instead we would like to create an RFP for this mural We've all already agreed on the placement of the corner of Gertruda and Catalina to be our next mural location. We'd like to have an invitation call to John Pugh as well as to national artists for this particular location. And we would like to stay within our specific artistic vision that we came together with, and that is demonstrating the musical culture of Redondo Beach historically to present day, 1940s to present day. Redondo Beach Pavilion had music, and today we have beach life. And so on this fairway, we think it would be greatly placed. And that is, from this information, what the subcommittee would like to move forward with in regards to that presentation that we gave. Does anyone have any comments?
I have a question. So I got kind of confused. You said you want to do a sole source, and then you want to do an invitational call to this artist and other artist for the same.
The last meeting that we had, we did a presentation,
Yes.
hoping to sole source John Pugh as the artist for this location.
Right.
It is seen that that is not going to work in the process, and we are open to having the process
other
go
artists.
as it should, with a call to artist,
Okay.
as well as John Pugh being part of that call to artist.
Okay.
I think that's a good idea. Based on what we learned from the city staff, it seems like it's not feasible to do sole source. So it seems an RFP would be great.
I do want to note that it's, for this, just so we're clear on language for the audience and people who are out there, it isn't recommended in this case, but that's not what the language says in there. It says that professional services to be, in a case, depending on the skill, integrity, judgment, and ability of the service rather than a dollar, meaning that in that particular case, like, we still have that option of sole sourcing. I just want that to be clear for people out there, and even on this council, is that there is no such thing in this document that says we can't do
Cannot
that.
do it. Yeah.
Can I speak to that? What it does say, in my opinion, is that if the city's recommendation and the document's recommendation is that you avoid using sole sourcing process except in a situation where the commission unanimously concludes that the artist in question is the only available option. And that is going to be a very rare occurrence. And so it's my understanding, what you just put forward to the commission is that outside of the mural pool, we're going to do that, and then we're going to do a separate RFP for a call for artists for the specific location of Catalina and Gertruda, the Public Works Wall, that the amount of the budget for that will be not to exceed $100,000 all inclusive.
Right.
And did you want to include the criteria that you mentioned so you did. Did you want to reach out in any way to the Public Works Department, since it's their wall, to see if they have a particular comment on?
Yeah.
So if we do, let's say this is approved, and when we put together, and staff puts together an RFP, it's going to come back to you to approve, right? Right? So theoretically, at that point, it'll be on the agenda, Public Works will be notified, and if they like it or hate it, they could send people here to say,
Okay, great.
great, God bless you, or please don't do this. Right? I mean, I think that by putting an RFP on a future agenda, you're meeting your obligation somewhat to gather community input.
Great.
And did you, the criteria for this, did we determine that we were going to use both walls, both the wall that was on Catalina and Gertruda?
I would like to add that both walls are open to the artists'
Use.
use.
So both walls are open to the artist, but they're not required?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so the next question I would have is, you mentioned invitational, so are you going to identify John plus a few others? Because I would, speaking to her point, about paying for proposals, I would not recommend to you folks that you ask an artist to submit a finished proposal, to use their creative process to create a mural on paper, a small version of it, right? And say, this is, what I'm going to do on your wall, without paying them. I mean, that's not what public art programs do. If they're going to create original work for us to decide whether we like it or not, I think we do have to pay them something. If you're going to ask for a request for qualifications, you'll look at similar murals they've done other places. You'll look at their resume, letters of recommendation, whatever, like we're doing in the mural, in the pre-qualified roster. And then select one, to once again, do a proposal, which you're going to pay for as well. So what do you want to do? I mean, do you want to invite 4 and say, we're going to pay you $500, $1,000, whatever, to submit a proposal? Or do you want to ask for qualifications and then ask for proposals? That slows down the process.
So I'm unfamiliar with the process. That was actually something that I was going to hopefully get clear tonight, because I agree, like any artist that's going to do a rendering of some sort of their concept would not do that for free. That is something that we would have to pay for. So is that something that is included in the wording in the RFP?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we would need to come up with
But also what I'm saying is, if you put out an open RFP, that means we'd have to pay everybody that submits a proposal. If 1,000 artists send us proposals for a mural, I mean, we can't do an open RFP.
No, I mean like an open RFP. I guess then the wording that you're helping me get to is, would the RFP say, once you come down to a final selection, like after we've seen the work that you've done previously and know your qualifications, that if you are down to our final amount, then you would get paid for your idea, so that we would be able to get their information and see their work and qualifications, and then pick from there?
Yes,
Okay.
and that's sort of like the process that you've decided to do with the pre-qualified mural roster. Yes. But if you want to expedite it, you can do an invitational list, which is what you mentioned earlier, where you would invite Mr. Pugh, plus if you already know, let's say,
Another
4 other artists.
that you would feel very confident in looking at their proposals, you could eliminate the RFQ
Process.
step
Okay.
and go right to the RFP step.
Again, just
Okay.
to jump in here.
Hold on, wait till you're called.
I think,
Marcy, fine.
I think we kind of have a choice. We can get a lot of submissions if we do an RFQ, because that doesn't include any money commitment from us. And we would just get a bunch of people coming in. Or we can do an invitation only, which we would have to say we choose 5. That's a lot more work. I'm going to suggest we do an RFQ. We'll get more people that come in. We'll make sure John is on the list. He gets it. And then we go through the RFQ. And then maybe we pick 5 and invite them for an RFP.
Yes.
And maybe we can then take the people who have applied for that and ask them if they'd like to be included in the general mural RFQ. So it's another way to bring in more artists.
Well, they're both going to be. I mean, I would use the cafe, website to do both of them. So it's and they're going to be
Side by side.
I mean,
In
it's
the
going to be
same
a couple
listing.
months after
Yeah, the roster.
because you have to approve.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that a lot of the same people will
apply.
Apply to both of them.
Right.
And that's good. I mean, ultimately, we just want to keep gathering and getting more of that. So,
Could I ask a
Melendez?
question?
Go ahead.
Are we limiting it to the musical culture of Redondo Beach, or can people, the muralists, come up with other ideas, or are we just limiting it to that?
The subcommittee is proposing it to be of that theme for that location. Historically, music has been a place of gathering for Redondo Beach, and we would just like to see that type of history of art for our city. And then it's on the Catalina corridor to get to beach life, which a lot of people from all over are coming to, so they can see this isn't a new thing, that Redondo has music. We've actually been having music for quite many years now. So that is our proposal.
So you would need to send me that language.
Okay.
But to your point,
That's in there.
it'll get put into the RFQ. You know, this is you know, the theme that has been approved by our a committee. But it's going to come back to you with an opportunity for public input. So somebody could say, would you please amend that RFQ to include more than just music? And I'm not saying it is currently just music, but whatever that description is, you will have the opportunity to listen to the public and yourselves request changes to that description. It's not, because you're asking me to do it today, doesn't mean it's going to be that way in the end.
Okay.
Are there any other comments?
Yeah, I think even in our invitational call for the RFQ for this particular location, we need to give the specification of the length of the wall, the height, the material that an artist will put. So, I mean, we need to give the dimensions, the details of the canvas that they will have for their.
That's a good point. Thank you.
And yes, yeah.
Public comment.
I just public comment. I'd like to open it to public comment.
I do not have anyone on Zoom or e-comments, so I'm going to extend it to the audience.
Georgette Gantner, Redondo Beach. Yeah, I think the theme is interesting, but it may be limiting, but what you just said is, you know, if you present it that way. And the other thing about Redondo, I don't know what music history we have. The Lighthouse is cool, but Redondo's been a little bit limited. So if you,
Actually, it has quite a big history. In 1940, the Redondo Pavilion, Benny Goodman and his band performed there. And there's a long history of music that started from that time period to this period. Being
love
a musician
music.
myself in
I
the
love
South
music.
Bay.
Play the piano, whatever, yeah.
It definitely has its place here.
it's true, but a theme sometimes limits. But anyway, like you said, you'll vet it and you'll find out what happens with that. Again, paying for proposals, I wish I had a history. I don't think we paid for proposals before.
I was going to ask that in regards to the
That's
Performing
possible.
Arts Center. Like, I remember there was like I came at the point where it was just down to the last two artists, and both of them had full renderings of their art. So I wouldn't imagine either of them did that for free.
No, I think you did pay for those.
Yeah. I mean, that is an extensive amount of work for an artist to do,
Don't
to
remember
not.
it ever being discussed. So this is news to me. So I
Okay.
don't know. I mean, John
I
LaRock.
don't feel like they paid for them, but I could be wrong. I mean, Georgette and I were on,
So you do or you don't remember being
I
having them
don't
paid?
remember, but it doesn't seem like we paid, but like I said, I could be
I
wrong.
don't know. I mean,
An example of a project that you can remember, like comes to mind that's existing. I guess.
I don't remember any project where we
Yeah,
paid.
Right.
I don't.
Well, okay, so
That time
for an
period.
example of one that you didn't pay for, that you had not, because like asking someone to do a sculpture, like the Gatewave project, that guy uses a CAD system. That's an intense process to come up with something.
You do a miniature. I mean, you're doing something in a small, obviously a smaller
Correct. an artist should be paid for those
Well,
things.
you're saying they should be, whether we have or not, to establish a
I
precedent
agree.
now would be
This-
interesting.
I
Yeah.
agree. This is
Yeah.
my whole reason to elicit the sole
Yeah.
sourcing of something to save the city money on paying for 5 different things.
I agree with the fact that you're not going to just sole source, especially for this gentleman, and his work is incredible, because he did, I don't know how many murals in the Hermosa project, the 10 murals over 10 years. He's really talented. But I think it's good to, again, spread it out, put the RFP out, or RFQ out there for whomever will come out and, join the party. Just one more thing that's an off thing. Ad agencies do whole entire presentations for free, and they compete against each other. And if you land the project, you get the project and you get money, but they're not paid at all. It's
That's the reason we're going to do the list in that case, in those circumstances as well.
okay.
And are you familiar with John Pugh? You said you're familiar with John Pugh's
With his
work
work,
and how
yes.
magical it is.
It's beautiful.
He's an artist that requires he requires an amount, an artistic, I forget the exact wording, to create the artistic idea for his mural. It is part of his requirement before he goes into
So
the
he's
creative.
asking for a fee to do his proposal. Is that what
Yes.
you're saying?
Yeah.
He is requiring it. Okay, he
It
may
is one of-
establish a precedent.
It is
then.
one of his requirements,
So he
because
is.
to come up with an idea, to take his time away from other projects to create something, he has to pay himself for that, and that is, I don't
that's-
think that's out of
Hey,
the world.
If you can't sell yourself, who's going to? I mean, why not?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's another good reason, though, to open it up for the community and see, what it brings. So.
Great.
anyway,
Thank you for your input.
Well, actually, I had done some research on RFPs and RFQs, and I forget the name of the city that had put out a proposal, and they had said, we'll have a qualification of artist, and then we will pick 3 artists, and we'll give them a stipend to give their proposal, and then we'll shoot.
That's a,
Yeah,
one.
I think that's
Sure.
completely,
Yeah.
And you want to get a reputation for valuing artists' work.
Yes.
Most art commissions, don't ask artists to work for free. You don't ask singers to come and do a fundraiser for you, or you don't, if anyone's going to value artists' work, it has to be us, right?
Yes.
That's what
Amen.
we're here to do. And we don't ask artists to work for free, whether they're visual artists or musicians or dancers, we advocate for them to be paid fairly.
yes. I agree.
agreed.
Is there any more public comment or comment within our? Okay, then I would like to propose, or I would like our commission to create an RFQ so that we can bring in artists first. And then from those artists, we can create an RFP where we will offer them a stipend for their artistic ideas. This will be for the corner of Gertruda and Catalina, involving the option of both walls. We would like the artistic vision to convey the musical culture of Redondo Beach historically to present day. We would like it to not exceed $100,000. And I believe that is all. So I'd like to
I'll make
take,
the motion.
do I take a poll?
Second.
Oh, no, just a motion and,
It looks like you got a group. Go ahead.
okay. So we make a motion,
Yeah, I'll motion.
Commissioner
Make a motion.
Klein. Second,
Second.
Commissioner Lappin.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? None. Okay, great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on then to J4, discussion and possible action regarding commissioning and mural on an exterior wall at Bernie Elementary School or train overpass at Kingsdale. There is a staff report on that.
No. Okay. Thank you again. The background on this item is that at your, did I get the date right? September 28th?
Yes.
At December 28th, 2022 meeting, the commission directed staff to review and provide analysis regarding the Kingsdale train tracks and a wall abutting the sidewalk at Burney Elementary School as possible locations for a mural in North Redondo. Neither of these sites are city-owned properties, which present several challenges, including agreements with the property owners and limited ability to guarantee the safety, maintenance, and longevity of artworks installed at those locations, especially if the properties are sold. If the city is going to invest thousands or tens of thousands of dollars in a project, it will want to have unfettered access to and control of that project. Those goals cannot be secured with a partnership. In addition to these challenges, it is customary for public entities to consider the following when selecting locations for public art. What policies and procedures are currently in place that address this issue? And is art, no matter how good the quality, placed in areas that are not accessible to multiple people simultaneously, what the commission believes is quality public art? The Public Art Master Plan, adopted on April 19th, 2016, answers question number 1. Section 5, project and site selection, includes the following. In general, works of art will be acquired without legal restrictions as to future use and disposition. And the focus of the program shall be public infrastructure and city building projects, such as buildings, parks, roads, bridges, and other structures and spaces constructed by the city. The answer to question 2, however, is equally important in addressing the issue. Wikipedia defines public art as follows. Public art is art in any media whose form, function, and meaning are created for the general public through a public process. It is a specific art genre with its own professional and critical discourse. Public art is visually and physically accessible to the public. It is installed in public space in both outdoor and indoor settings. In addition, one of the widely accepted values of public art is its potential to create social capital, or a set of shared values or resources that allows individuals to work together in a group to effectively achieve a common purpose. Widely believed to be a critical component in economic development. For public art to achieve this outcome, groups of people need to be able to experience the public art at the same time and potentially talk about it. In the ideal situation, the creation of social capital happens during the processes of selecting an artist, during the process of creating the artwork, and when people come together to experience and talk about the artwork. Most public art programs today also identify creative placemaking as a goal of public art programs. Public art is essential for placemaking because it has a unique ability to define the very places we inhabit. Art and culture create a shared heartbeat for our gathering places. Communities and businesses alike benefit from enhanced social cohesion, improved health and economic outcomes, and the creative energy and aesthetic of a place enhanced by arts and culture. The recommendation of staff, therefore, is that the commission should not commission artworks on property not owned by the city, and it should not commission significant artworks, for example, greater than $25,000, on property that is not now or does not have the potential to be a gathering place for residents and visitors. Possible sites for potential creative placemaking projects include the Performing Arts Center and Heritage Court. Both of these locations already have cultural and artistic elements that make them ideal for greater public art investments. That concludes my report.
Okay, thank you so much for that report. Again, I have something that I would like to propose, knowing that the subcommittee had met and talked about these locations. We are now aware that these will not work. And I have looked over the master plan. I believe one placement that I would like to open up to discussion is the Dominguez park, the dog park. It is on the master plan as an approved location. So being as these locations that we tried to look into are not going to work, I think it would be a really fun idea to have a sculpture at that park. I'm even going to add that I think a dog sculpture would be really ideal to put at that park. So from this staff report, this is what I would like to propose as a North Redondo location, because that is why we were looking into the Kingsdale train tracks and Bernie Elementary School. I'd like to open discussion. Marcy?
Kingsdale has been in play for 6 or 7 years now. And just before you came, this is your first meeting with us?
Second.
Second. The meeting before, Kingsdale was approved and it moved forward, if I'm not correct. And I think it was discovered that that the sidewalks or that the bridge underpasses and the walls on the side are owned by the city. The only thing that's not is a very thin bar that goes across the bridge. But apparently, the only reason we weren't going to be able to use that, we actually had a conversation with, I think it was Metro. They were going to reroute that train. This is, I think, 5 or 6 years ago. And I don't believe that train is being rerouted anymore. And that's the only reason they did not want us, they weren't going to give us the approval. But now that the train's not going to be rerouted, I think they would give us approval. And I don't understand why a partnership would be, the partnership would only be for across the bridge, but the 2 sides are ours, or the 4 sides are ours, are city owned. So I would like to propose that you reconsider your report, maybe do a little more diving into that report, because Kingsdale is it's like a public entrance to Redondo Beach, and it's in North Redondo. Going back and rebuilding, adding more artwork to places that already have big investments of artwork is a great idea if we have already covered the rest of the city. We've got 5 districts, and so this is North Redondo. And I guess the other place is, I guess the Performing Arts Center, is that considered North Redondo as well too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it already has art there. Anyways, that's my feeling, is that we should go back and find out more. I mean, I did a lot of homework on this myself personally in a subcommittee and made phone calls to the city department about getting electricity, getting water to that location, being able to safely paint. This was years ago. But it was done and we were moving forward on it. And just 2 meetings ago, we got the green light to move forward. And all of a sudden, we've had a revolving door of 5 people in your position, maybe more. So I just think that we should revisit the Kingsdale one for sure.
Commissioner Melendez?
I am in league with Marcy on this, because we, as she said, my understanding was that the bridge itself, the iron construction, if you were to drive that area, the actual bridge that the train goes on goes over this overpass. That's what they're talking about. There is a legit architectural wall that goes from the front to back. It's basically like a tunnel into Redondo Beach. I also question whose staff is recommending that we don't go forward on this. And this is emblematic of some of the problems we have, as far as I'm concerned, on this art commission, and why some of these measures in consolidating lists and coming up with RFPs and culling these artists, we can't even put paint on a wall that we own. Like, it doesn't have to be a mural per se. Like, this city's changing. There's a mall. I went to the meeting for the mall. The Galleria is getting revamped. We can't figure out how to put something on a corridor in our city. Like, she's been kicking this around for years. Like, I drive there, I run there, I ride my bike there. That literally is a corridor in the city that people can be welcomed coming into the city. Those walls are one of the easiest, as far as I'm concerned, taking a beach-colored paint and smearing it across and writing "Welcome to Redondo Beach" or whatever that is, whatever the committee comes up with. Some graphic designer, we pay $5 to come up with something to cover this. This is another project that I came in with. I didn't know Marcy before I got here, but I lived there and I know this. This particular site deserves our hand on it.
Commissioner Lappin?
So I also feel that public art is not just to be in a place where people gather or people walk. It also can be a mural where people drive by and see it especially if it's at a gateway to a city. I think that public art has many different forms, and that certainly driving past something or driving through something and seeing a mural on a wall is definitely part of public art. With that said, I like your suggestion of doing something at the Dominguez Dog Park. I think that we've wanted to put something there for a long time. There are many other locations that we can also look at. We still have the Ringe sewer pump wall in Fulton Playfield. Whenever that becomes available, that is something we know the city has already pre-approved that location. And we've also looked at that as having a mural there, and we only had to step back because of the water project that had to happen there. I mentioned last time in Perry Park where the senior center is, there's that huge wall facing Grant Avenue. That could be a place for public art. I like the Kingsdale location, and I would like to move forward with that, but I'm not opposed to not doing that as the very first thing that we do. If it's going to expedite the process to be able to put something in North Redondo so that we have public art placed equitably throughout the city, then I'm very happy to move forward with the dog park. I think that that's something that is a good place to have put public art. And if it's something the city would easily accept without debate, I think that that's a good starting point. We can always come back to Kingsdale, and that can be researched by staff as to its viability.
So I got a question on this.
Hold on. Are you finished?
Sorry, I took the gap. I'm trying to get.
Yes, I'm finished.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Melendez?
If on this commission, there's a number of people as part of the democratic process, right? We get to vote on things. It seems disconcerting that when we put forth projects on this agenda, that somewhere down the line, I don't know who staff is. Is it just you? Like, who's staff to me? Like, but that's what I'm saying is like we're putting stuff. Whose name is staff? You guys get to hide behind staff.
It's me in consultation with other colleagues, but it's primarily me.
Okay, so you're saying this. We've been here. That's my argument is that we joined this commission. You did, right, to move stuff in your district to put artwork on walls, right? No offense to you, but you just got here. How many projects have you seen go up on a wall in your time? How many? Like 5? 4?
Just the boxes.
How long did that take?
Well, there's always legal stuff.
I'll tell you. 4 years. You know how I know
Yeah.
this? Because I have a box down at the Shade Hotel. I went through this.
Yeah.
So when we're putting together projects where we volunteered on this staff, we don't get paid. To hear, no offense, staff say their recommendation to something, it takes a lot out of our sales. Because now we've got to put forth, based on your recommendation, towards the public now, that might not be a viable location. Me and Marcy are sitting here still fighting that those are our walls. We literally have, this council is allowed to vote whether or not it's a mural. I'm past mural. It would be really cool if we could just put paint on there.
Yeah.
We could just put a wave of turquoise and silver, whatever it may be. If we go on, with the list of people, 5 people, 6, I don't care. Well, whoever Sherman-Williams guys in Redondo Beach, whoever's willing to donate paint for that particular project, let's come up with an RFP, whatever that is, and ask the local painters to donate. But that site, and I'm not giving this up, is that site deserves the hand of this art commission, whether staff agrees or not. So whoever's watching the video out there, that site deserves our money. That's it.
Thank you. So I was going to, okay. Mr. Sharma?
Yes. Again, the question is, how come a school wall is not a city property?
School district. It's owned by the school district.
Not the city, I guess.
Not the city, but the school district
I think
is,
it's part of the school district's property. It's a wall on their property, isn't it?
But
yeah, it's the.
but
So
Redondo,
it's their,
Yeah.
So that's,
but it wouldn't be just asking them?
the school district is different from the city.
okay. But we cannot collaborate with the school district
It's
to.
possible, yeah. No, it's possible.
Yeah, we know the new superintendent, we could ask her if she has interest in that, right? Would that be her decision?
Well, I guess it comes down to, I know,
The school board's decision.
The school
Yeah.
board, so couldn't we bring it to the school board? Couldn't we bring it to the school board and ask them if they wanted it?
Well, that's what we would have to do, yeah. I mean, it would go through staff first, and they would decide whether they were going to take it to the school board.
What do we do? We discuss it with,
Well, there would be a staff person who would decide what, like, probably the superintendent would decide whether or not it goes to the school board.
And I
mean,
think
they
it
may
would be
have a policy
faster
already
if
that
we're
says they won't
interested
do
in
that.
expediting a project to move forward in a timely manner where you don't have multiple steps to go through. Then we might want to pick a location that's vetted and approved and start with that, and then start to go into for greater detail, because I would like to see something at the Kingsdale location also. So, but I also think that I would like to move forward and get something in North Redondo, and I would like to choose something that we know the city is going to stand behind, that we can move forward quickly. That would be my personal preference.
I would like to add on to Commissioner Lappin's comment that I agree. The reason I looked into it after seeing, the staff's report, that, I, from reading that, look at the master plan. The master plan has Dominguez Park. We don't really have any sculptures currently in our plans, so that would be a great place to start, I believe, a sculpture. So I would like to, within this meeting, see if we can agree to that location as the next location for an art piece. But within this, I would also like to ask staff to see what the process will be and guide us to get to the process of having the Kingsdale walls potentially as a place. So whatever the steps will be, I know it's not as easy as the master plan, but
Well, if it's just the walls, it's the same, it's the same process we've been discussing. You'll either pick one from the pre-qualified, or you'll do a separate process like you're going to do for Gertruda and where the Public Works building is. So those are your two options. You sort of have the two-step process and you have the one-step process.
so would we be able today to say that we would like to add the Kingsdale walls as our next location for a mural?
Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I would like to make the proposal
Call for a
to
motion.
offer a motion to have the Kingsdale Bridge as our next location for a
The
mural.
walls.
The walls.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any opposed? No opposed.
Motion carries.
Motion carries.
And,
Did I need to do open to,
oh yeah, you should do some public comment, but, and then also, what process do you want to use? I mean, you don't want to wait 2 months for me to come back and say,
I mean, I know we have a lot on our plate.
Can't we
so-
draw from that, from the mural
Yeah.
pool? So once we get the
Yes,
artists for
exactly.
the mural pool, we can then entertain, we will have approved Kingsdale as our second location.
Correct.
Once we have the mural pool populated, then we can move forward with specifics on that project. In the meantime, do you want to move forward to do a project a sculpture project at Dominguez Dog Park?
Yes.
So that would be our first, that would be our next project location site in North Redondo would be the Dominguez Dog Park, and that we would need to do a separate RFP to call for artists for the artwork at that location. We would need to determine the parameters of the budget and whatever other criteria we need to determine. So that should probably be agendized for our next meeting.
Okay. So we can,
why don't you finish the Kingsdale item and then move on to the
okay, great. So
public comment on the.
public comment on Kings, or public comment, wait, let me open it to public comment first.
We do not have anyone on Zoom, and we don't have any e-comments, so I'm going to send it to the audience. All right. No public comments.
Thank you. Commissioner Kling?
I'm wondering how we request a conversation with Metro again to just ask permission again, because I think that they were going to give us permission, if they didn't move the train, to paint the side part above, just the concrete on the side of the, on the top, that goes across the street.
Were
So-
any of you involved with that process before?
I was.
Do you want to do that?
No?
I don't have time to do that.
Well, you're getting paid, but I'm not. So it's a subcommittee, and I
can-
already did it on the subcommittee. I already spent a lot of time doing it. And I called,
I'm telling, I mean, I can put it on my list, but I don't have time to do that.
So can I make a comment? I disagree with that. I think that's just adding a whole other layer that is going to complicate the process. I think that we should just move forward with the city-owned walls and not have to ask another entity that we have to fill out a 25-page form to get their approval from to move forward on that part of the component. It's just going to delay anything that we ever want to do there and add another layer of complication.
but from what I understand, Susan, 2 meetings ago, they gave the approval for that. And I know, I don't have the meeting.
Remember that at all.
I don't recall the train portion being
No, me
approved.
either.
I remember they were saying the wall, and I believe that's why he's saying, okay, let's add this as a location. It is the walls, and I'm okay with the walls, because again, that's the
I
fairway.
mean, I'm more okay with the walls than having the walls stay empty.
Yeah,
But I think the whole thing is the vision that I have in my head, it's a connected thing. It's the walls connected with the bridge. It's a welcome. It's like a tunnel. It's like,
I'm with you, Marcy, and I want just get the walls. Just get them walls.
I mean, we already approved the walls a few minutes ago.
I know what you're
I'm
saying.
asking to add on and say, put this on the agenda that the city staff finds out who we need to speak to. Do you have
I understand what you're saying, but I believe
I mean, I've been
it's
asking
not
for this for
going
6
to-
years. It seems like a pretty reasonable request at this time. It seems like,
It would be reasonable if our staff had no other obligations other than us, but they do. So I'm okay with moving forward with just the walls, because I believe that's what our staff has the resources to get done for us. So for this project, since we had to kind of do it backwards again, would someone like to make a motion of the Kingsdale?
It was already done.
Bridge.
We already did it.
Okay, so it's
I was
already-
trying to just do an addendum, something in it above and beyond. And I wanted to make a motion to have that thing, I mean, that request put on the agenda. I find it really odd that it's just, that it can't be put on as a request.
So Marcy has just made a motion, so
Okay.
you need to call for a second, and then you need to take a vote. If there is a second, then you need to take a vote. If there's no second, then it will not carry forward.
Okay, for Marcy's motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and then we call.
You
My thing-
have to, it has to be voted on now, so
Okay,
people.
now we would like to
So-
take a
All in
vote.
favor or hope and opposed?
Okay. We've already approved that the paint is going to go on the side of the walls. This is just an addendum to, so would not stop or delay the paint on the side. It would just be an addendum.
The motion is to ask staff to research whether they can get the.
Permission to paint.
Right, that's
Yes.
the motion.
Yes.
So it's been seconded, so now all in favor?
I vote for it.
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed?
I'm opposed.
Nay?
I'm opposed because isn't the staff person, this is our staff person, he
Yeah.
already said he didn't have time.
Yeah.
So I,
Okay, what do you do
That's
with, what do you do with the tie?
That's it. You,
So we have a tie.
Going to revote again?
Okay, I'll ask for a vote again.
Do a roll call vote if you want.
Okay, Commissioner Sharma, on regards to having staff doing additional research for the Kingsdale location.
Can I interrupt before we vote? Does anyone else besides me, the question came back, I asked staff if they could research. They said, no, can I? Me, Marcy. Is anyone else here willing to do some research? I mean, I'm already on 2 subcommittees. Pretty much put a lot in. Is anyone else interested?
I don't believe anybody on this commission can do that, because I think it has to be a formal request from the city to the agency that owns that premises. And I'm sure that there are forms and all sorts of things that have to be gone through to get that. It's the same thing that happened when we were looking at the utility boxes on Hawthorne and trying to get approval to put matching art on that with ours next to that. And the process to do that was so cumbersome and timely, and the entity, it just was a giant nightmare. So
we
I
already spoke
don't
to
think that we have the authority, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Margolis, but I don't think we have the authority to reach out to an agency on behalf of the city of Redondo Beach. I think that has to come from staff.
Well, I don't think you could submit an application to do something, but just like anybody could contact the city and say, hey, I have an idea to do X, Y, Z. Is it possible to do it? Right? I mean, anybody can make an inquiry.
Has that been done already by someone? Since this has been a topic of discussion for, a couple of years. Do we
you
know
asking
if
me?
that has been, do we know?
I don't think you know.
I know we don't know now, but I think we should look into that before we reach out again to make sure that we don't duplicate an effort that's already been made.
It was made, and remember, am I the only one that remembers that it had to do with when they were rerouting the Green Line at the transit station, and if that's the reason they said we weren't going to approve it then, because they thought they might need that bridge to reroute one of the green lines. But the green lines, or all the lines, I think have already been established now, and now if we check back with them, with whoever, it was probably John LaRock who put out the inquiry back then. It's probably in his notes or in the history. I don't know how to,
Look back.
I mean,
at that.
I don't know how to look back per se. And
I would like
find
to
that, but it-
propose like an option, and hopefully this is something that would suit well with you. Right now, we're just moving forward as a prospective location that we agree upon to have artwork put there. We are also tonight putting forth a roster of artists. So we're not even ready to put an RFP out for that location. How about once we start getting our roster, we're knocking down our other locations. When it comes down to time, now we're looking to put an RFP out for the Kingsdale. That will give staff more time because there's already so much that's going to be getting done that is on the approved.
So Commissioner Klein, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the reason why you're putting forth your amendment or your motion is that if it would be possible to have a public art piece above, you would probably want an artist to design the whole thing, the walls and the above, right?
Yeah.
So if you went ahead with just doing the walls and then you find out that you have the opportunity to do the above part, you sort of miss out on the opportunity to do the big bang. Is that part of what you're thinking?
Yes, because it's all part of the whole creative concept. I see it as a whole big
Right.
thing, but I do not want to hold off. I do not want to put a halt to the sides if just by bringing this one thing is going to slow that down. I don't think it needs to slow down. It seems to me that it could all be done simultaneously in the background. It doesn't seem like it's going to happen overnight. But I think if we wait, I think we should ask for the permission now and put it on the agenda that it's something that we want done. And it gets done when it gets done, but just to ignore it because you're busy. I get you're busy, but I mean, for 6 years, we've been asking for this and we had some headway on it. And then we went back. And then 2 weeks ago, we got approval on the whole thing. I thought we got approval on the whole thing.
I don't recall getting approval on the whole thing. I think last time
we can't
it
even
was
find out
that we
facts from-
finally got approval to put something there. And so maybe you just envisioned it was the whole thing. But I feel like the tracks
Are you
were
talking
always.
about at our last meeting that we just had about moving forward with the Kingsdale?
Yes, it was 2 meetings ago. Was it 2 or 1?
So what we
Can't
did at the
recall.
last meeting is we voted on the sites that we wanted, and Kingsdale for our North Redondo application. And Kingsdale was the primary one, and the Bernie Elementary School was the secondary one. What we asked staff to do was to vet those locations to see if there was any impediments for us to move forward with either one of those locations. This report now is staff's response to that. That's where we are as far as my understanding.
I thought I hear you, and I do think that was part of it, but I thought that we got that they had approved the Kingsdale from the city's perspective before we voted upon it. That's my understanding.
No,
Whereas a committee,
That
they
wasn't-
greenlit it, and we had to decide if we wanted it or not. That's my understanding and my memory.
In the master plan? Is that what you're talking about? Is it an approved site in the master?
Not in the master plan.
Was it?
No.
Was it? I can't remember if it. I don't remember which city staff it was.
I can try to look through.
Do you remember? Do you have a memory?
Do you have a public comment?
Anybody has agendas?
I will look through my records. I have the agenda and the minutes of every meeting that we have ever had since I have been on the commission. I will try to find what I can and direct to Mr. Margolis where he can find that
And I
information.
can do that too. I mean,
So-
that is something I can do a document search, and try to look for what has or has not already happened in that regard.
Yeah, but you have to go back 6 years because it was really it started all that time ago. And John LaRock, I mean, if you just hit find Kingsdale, you'll be able to find it. And you'll hear what the problem was, what the roadblock was. What?
Not the way that our system works. It's just not easy to do a search like that inside the Redondo Beach
It's not.
Sometimes you get lucky.
labyrinth system.
I mean,
Really, we don't have a
I was able to
Microsoft-
find information about, the transit thing, and that goes back to 2010.
Yeah.
So.
Here, based on you've been on this, in the same way we're taking charge of the Dominguez Dog Park, right? Like we're trying to get something that we already know that we can. We know we got the walls. In the event that this other portion of the bridge comes to light somehow, and whether that's through documents, someone decides to call, who knows, whatever that happens, there is still room for an artist to two-tone something. You might have one portion of the wall that's ocean spray blue, and then your portion is sunlight
Well, that's,
golden.
I mean, I appreciate your vision, but I've been having this vision for 6 years. It's definitely not that, but I love your
I know,
enthusiasm.
but what I'm saying is in order for process, we all have, we come to agreements here, and sometimes we pick the middle of the road, we win some, we lose some.
I get it.
To win big on this one, with me personally, like I'm just as involved in this, but I would like to get it now, those walls, and then if this is the cherry on top, then so be it.
Commissioner Lappin?
So this is my suggestion on how to move forward.
Okay.
I think that we should make a motion to agendize putting the Dominguez Dog Park on our next meeting agenda to move forward with drafting language for an RFP to put a sculpture there. I think we should research Kingsdale a little bit. Mr. Margolis and anybody else who wants to see if they can come up with information to bring the past information about that project, and we can discuss it further, but we have already agreed that the commission wants to move forward with that as our second mural project. And that we want to wait until the mural pool populates so that we have a group of artists to draw on, so that when we're ready to move forward with that, we can move forward in a timely manner. In the meantime, we have time then to research the Kingsdale project, to make sure, to find out if we need permissions, if we already have permissions. That will give us the time we need to do what we need to do in order to facilitate moving forward with that project the way I just suggested. But we will also then be moving forward as our first project in putting a sculpture in the Dominguez Dog Park. And that way we will be creating an art piece for North Redondo in the dog park. We will have a second project coming up the pike that we've already identified that we are going to be researching. So we have another one coming up for North Redondo. And I think that that's the best way for us to move forward in order to make things run smoothly.
I agree.
I agree.
Yes.
Yes. So I would like to would someone like to make a motion on?
Actually, I would like to add to what Susan said. We could also, while getting our pool for the other projects, and especially for the Kingsdale, and suppose we've selected and the staff has still not squeezed us enough time, and it takes time for them to figure out, do the 25 pages, whatever is required for getting the clearance for us. And if it is cleared while we are still working on the sides, we can sole source this same artist to continue on the bridge horizontally. So that is an option that we should have it open.
Okay, thank you. We have already approved the Kingsdale wall as our pool, or as our selected and chosen mural location. That is something we've already made the motion for. So
Did you actually vote on that?
I'd like to make a motion, then I'd like to make a motion to do research, to have the city staff do research about who owns the part above the bridge on the Kingsdale Bridge for future consideration.
How we move forward to solicit permissions to put a mural on that, or
Yeah, and how we, and to research if we have permission to, who is in charge of it, and how we have, and if we have permission to put a mural on it.
Does that have a second?
Go ahead.
Would someone like to second, Marcy?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay.
Can I make another motion for Dominguez then? I'll make a motion to put, to our next project will be to do a sculpture of a dog, hopefully, at the Dominguez Park, and to do a call for sculpture artists. Do we have the budget amount?
No, that will be, we'll agendize it for next.
Oh, to agendize this for
our
next meeting.
Wherein we would define all the criteria to go in the call for artist.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed? Okay. So we will visit the Dominguez Hills or Dominguez Park sculpture at our next meeting to go over the idea of budget and concept for a sculpture RFP next meeting.
For Barney's school?
Sure, Glenn.
Yeah, for Barney's school, did we want to make a phone call to the superintendent and see if,
I believe we have a lot of great things in our docket right now. I know we could
Wait
keep
on that?
going
Wait on
on
it?
things. So
Okay.
I would like to hold back on that being in our next meeting because
Okay.
we already have a good load. So
Got it.
keep that in mind. But for right now, I'd like us to move forward with what we have.
Okay. Talking about different locations, I had sent an email to Mr. Margolis. Did you get that email? What did it say? It said possible locations for mural.
When did you send it?
I sent it on Tuesday.
I press not.
I have a lot of emails I haven't looked at yet. I'll look for it.
Yeah, I did not get your response. Anyway, so the locations were, now I wasn't sure about the wall in the Galleria Mall, whether that is property of the city, and I'm guessing not, possibly. It is a wall which is straight coming in from, if you go into the maps, actually, I have an email. I sent an email to myself. Can I send it to you now and you can show? Will that
I
work?
don't think, is that?
How do I do that?
You can send it to me.
Okay.
Okay. So what is your email?
Here, let me write it down for you.
So this wall was of Kingsdale and Grant in the mall, in the parking lot.
Grant.
In the mall?
Yes, it is the parking wall, so going straight.
Okay. But the whole gallery is going to be redone.
Okay,
So I
I
think
guess.
that location would have just a small life.
well then we could wait if it is part of the city, or we can talk with the
See it, right?
person in charge for the mall to enhance and, add some artwork.
But I think for primarily the staff report today was almost requesting that we try to visit our master plan to help limit the additional, details that will need to go into any other location.
Yeah, but, well, I did some walk around, so I had something, so I wanted to just propose that.
Okay. Is that done at this time or is that able to be done? I was asking you, sorry.
I'm sorry, what is it?
She'd like to bring up an email of a location for us to examine as a potential mural location, but it's at the South Bay Galleria, which is going to be redone, and it is not part of the public.
So
public
so
art.
the South Bay Galleria, the city's been fairly clear to us that they do not want to do anything on private property, that they want to focus their attention on city-owned property. And with regard to the Galleria, because they have a huge project coming up, you would have to meet with the owners and the manager of the Galleria to see if they wanted to do something there. And I don't think that that's a good thing to do at this particular moment myself.
I had one more site. We have done a project at the Performing Arts, but as soon as you enter the Performing Arts, there are these 3 walls right in front, which are totally blank, and they look kind of dull. So there is this 3 walls right in front, and then there is a huge, like a triangle wall. If we can have something on the way high up, it can be visible from a distance too. So one right at the entrance, 3 huge walls, and then one up there. So that
There's
was
so
my
many
other-
opportunities at the Performing Arts Center.
Yes, so I wanted to.
There's 4 pillars in the front.
Yes.
A great project would be the staircase that goes down from Manhattan Beach Boulevard. That is the ugliest thing in the world. And can you imagine, like, if you had a staircase that played music that was designed by an artist?
That would be
Or
fabulous.
to take that whole berm area there, which is just dirt right now, and turn that whole thing into either a sculpture garden or a
Be
mosaic,
fabulous.
or, there's just so many opportunities there.
And I'd like to make a comment too. So one of the things that city council
Did you get my email?
is tasking us with when we are able to address that at some point in the future is to go over and review and update the master plan. And part of that will be to identify other than the locations that are in there, would be to identify other locations throughout the city that we feel are good public art opportunities. And that will be our opportunity to populate the master plan with more locations that we think are good and viable for projects coming up. So when we do reevaluate the master plan, it would be a good idea for commissioners to bring their suggestions and thoughts so that those can be vetted as a possible addition to what we have now.
Perfect.
Great.
Oh, yeah. See, that is the wall and in the Galleria Mall.
Yeah, no, that's,
They're going to tear it down.
Yeah, that's
Just-
absolutely owned by
They're
the
gonna tear it
gallery.
down.
to reiterate what they're saying is like we have so many locations already that we already own, right? Like that whatever. But I did, just to answer you, I did go to Councilmember Obaji's town hall meeting or something, and I saw the project that they're proposing for
Okay.
and I did meet with the guy, and he actually put forth that there will be projects that they'll probably solicit us for
For the mall.
for the mall. So there will
Maybe,
be,
possibly.
Yeah, that'll definitely be a location once it's like all
Once it's
and
all-
new.
yeah, they're gonna.
And this was the second one. So so that wall is so dull and
Oh, yeah,
it's
that's
like
the
right there as soon
backside.
as you enter.
Yeah.
I can imagine even something like a flowing thing, it doesn't have to be a permanent one. And they can kind of advertise whatever function they're going, and it has like a drapery kind of a thing. But it's a vision. So something, it's just too dull right now. And the other one was the side ones, which is view from far off also. And there are businesses. And so, if they have windows and they can see while working, and I think a good art piece would be nice.
So would we make a motion to add this
master plan.
location to our potential locations down into the future?
I don't think we need to do that. We have so
Okay.
much on our plate right now. I mean, these are things that we're just talking hypothetically coming up in the future. I mean, we're not going to be addressing this location anytime soon. So we might as well focus on what we are going to do soon, so.
100%. Okay.
No, but can't we just add it to our master plan?
Oh, absolutely, when we
Roster.
get to that, but we haven't gotten to that project yet. When we get to that project, then it'll be the time to call on everyone to submit their ideas and their locations and anything else that they would like to see in the master plan, so.
But thank you for doing your research. It looks like a good space. Commissioner Klein?
You know what we're going to do, Dominguez Park? I'm wondering, remember we were going to do the other park, and we were going to do some landscaping? Any chance with public art, what?
The Edo Park.
The Edo
project,
Park, yeah. Any chance that if we're going to put this beautiful sculpture of the dog, that we could maybe green up that grass? Is that something we can maybe use some public art money to enhance the grass?
I don't think we have, like, even with
No?
the Edo project, we're not assisting with the gardening and the landscaping. We'll just be doing any sculpture that goes into that. All landscaping, they'll have to find their budget for that.
What department do we go to ask them?
won't come from
What meeting do we
us.
go to ask them to plant more grass?
Recreation
Recreation, yeah.
Parks and Rec?
I can never remember if it's Parks and Rec or Rec and Parks,
Parks and Rec.
Recreation and Parks.
Rec.
Okay.
Okay, Ralph. Okay, so I think if we are done there, can we go back to our agenda screen? Thank you.
Thank you.
So did you finish the motion for the sculpture for the,
I did it, I think.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it was
Yes.
voted on and everything?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, so now we'd move on to J5, Director's Report. Is there a Director's Report?
Well, there is, and I actually had a pretty extensive one, but it's late and I'm going to cut a lot of it out and just cut to the chase. All right, so regarding the utility boxes, 20 have been completed, 12 more have been approved by both the commission and the city council. 7 of those are currently in the city attorney's office where they're preparing the agreements, but we're encountering an insurance requirement challenge. They're telling me that the artists that you selected, have to have the same insurance that every other contractor with the city has. And I told them that's ridiculous because it's only a $350 agreement. And the only thing the artist has to do is submit a digital image to a third party, which is then going to manufacture a wrap, and I said, there's not even anything in the agreement that requires insurance. So I'm trying to deal with that.
Can I ask a question on that? Who asked for insurance?
I'm not going to.
Okay. I went through it. This didn't come up when
Right,
I.
no, it's never happened before. It's just maybe people are trying to
Oh, okay. I see what you're
just
saying.
give me
All
a
right,
little more work.
Yeah.
Gary doesn't love it.
Are you being hazed by the city?
Yeah, maybe.
Then you have, if I'm looking at the spreadsheet right, it looks like there are 57 more approved locations that you haven't selected artists for yet.
Okay.
The Ito family parquet. Conceptual plans for the parquet were approved by you, the Historical Commission, and the Recreation Commission. The Community Services Department plans to add the concept plans to the list of CIP projects to be discussed for the fiscal year 23 mid-year budget or the fiscal year 24 budget. Both of these processes should begin next month. The City of Glendale mural ordinance. A City of Glendale staff report for the January 12th, 2023 Arts and Culture Commission meeting states that staff is working with their city attorney on drafting a mural ordinance in addition to policies and procedures, which will complement the mural ordinance. The draft mural ordinance and policies and procedures will be scheduled for initial review by the commission at an upcoming regular meeting of the Arts and Culture Commission. So that was just in January that report was, so just a couple weeks ago. The Transit Center. The new Redondo Beach Transit Center at 1521 Kingsdale Avenue will be operational beginning Sunday, January 29th, which means you're free to, go there at that point and look around and, collect your thoughts about what you would like to do in terms of public art there. The City of Redondo Beach will host a ribbon cutting ceremony on February 7th at 2 o'clock. Members of the public are welcome to attend. Public parking is located adjacent to the center at 1519 Kingsdale Avenue. The Transit Center replaces the existing Transit Center at the South Bay Galleria, which is now known as the South Bay Social District, with a modernized regional transportation facility. The new transportation center will improve regional mobility, linking beach cities transit, BCT, with other transit providers such as Los Angeles Metro, Torrance Transit, G-Trans, and Lawndale Transit, and will help connect pedestrian and bicycle users to these services. The new transit center provides various amenities and services for transit passengers, as well as transit provider operators, including a state-of-the-art transit terminal with 11 bus bays, new transit ticketing vending machines, enhanced pedestrian access with signalized crosswalks, a new passenger waiting area with public bathrooms, an expanded parking lot with 320 parking spaces, a new pickup and drop-off area with short-term parking for 13 vehicles, 12 bicycle storage lockers, expanded security services, widespread camera, closed caption TV, and enhanced operator layover amenities. The transit manager, Joyce Rooney, informed me that the Public Art Commissioner is required to begin a procurement process for the art at the new transit center. And my research shows that you have already approved doing so at your March 23rd, 22 meeting. The Historic Library RFP. So we received 2 responses. They were both from caterers and had few to no references to anything related to arts and culture programming. The next step will be for staff to prepare a report and present it to City Council. This would be a great opportunity for both the Public Art Commission and the Historical Commission to step up their advocacy game by assigning commissioners to attend district meetings and start a letter writing campaign. So for your information, I've put together the upcoming district community meetings. Oh, could I just see, who's in District 1? Anybody representing District 1? District 2?
I'm District 2.
District 3? District 4? District 5? Oh, so we have someone from each district. Okay. So District 1 will be Saturday, February 11th from 9:30 to 11:30 at the Alta Vista Community Center. District 2 is Thursday, January 26th from 6 to 7:30 at the South Bay Social District offices. So that's the kind of new, what the Galleria used to be. 1850 Hawthorne Boulevard next to the AMC Theaters. And they're also going to have, I think, a big presentation there at that time about what they're doing with the social district. It's accessible from the 3rd floor parking garage. District 3 doesn't have anything on their website. District 4, Wednesday, February 1st, 6:30 p.m. at Perry Park Senior Center. And District 5, Thursday, March 2nd, 6 p.m. at the Performing Arts Center. So, ideally, what would be great would be if the council could hear from the public how important it is that that facility be an opportunity for creating more arts and culture programming for the city. I think that when the initial process to get community input about how it would be repurposed came back to them, I think they were greatly influenced when they heard how many people, saw the building being used for that purpose. So they need to continue hearing that from as many people as possible. Otherwise, it will be, a venue for weddings and bar mitzvahs. Gatewave. I've communicated with the artist, and he has informed me that the fee for the piece has not changed from the quote he provided a year ago, which was $275,000. Since you have already approved a new location for the piece, the Community Services Department Director has directed me to put this item on a future City Council agenda. And then there's a new project. As part of its fiscal year 23 strategic plan, City Council directed staff to provide a report on the feasibility of a Welcome to Redondo Beach type archway along Artesia Boulevard, west of Inglewood Avenue, including a process to solicit ideas from artists for such a project. Staff from the Public Works, Community Services, and Waterfront and Economic Development departments made a presentation on this item to Council on January 17th. The idea was very well received by all the council members, and the project idea was expanded to creative placemaking for Artesia Boulevard, which might or might not include an arch. Council unanimously approved having staff come back to them with a proposal. That concludes my report.
Can I ask you is it possible for you to send the commissioners a copy of your director's report with all the information you just shared with us in an email so that we can see it in writing and go back and peruse what it is that you just told us, because it's difficult to take that detailed notes with so much information. I also would like to ask if we can agendize the transit center artwork on our, if not on our next meeting, the meeting after that, so that we can discuss moving forward with a piece of art in that location. Chair Pucci, do you have a comment about that?
No, I think that's a good idea.
Okay. Does anybody on the commission have a thought as to whether, based on all the other things we have in our March meeting, do we want to set that for our May meeting? And that gives commissioners time to go and look and see how they might like to move forward?
Yes, I think that's a great idea. To move it to
Okay, so can I, then I'd like to make a motion that we agendize the Transit Center artwork for discussion in our May Public Art Commission meeting.
I second.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And then, yes, with that said, if everyone can take a moment to go check out the location. I mean, I know we were trying to work out a field trip all together.
We were, so we can't all go, we can't all go together. So we can only gather, I believe it's 3 people, 3 commissioners at a time, outside of our meeting. Otherwise, we have to publish that to the public and allow them to comment on it. So I mean, if anybody wants to, set up to go a couple people at a time, that's fine, or otherwise people can go on their own. But now that it's open to the public, anybody can go anytime there, so it doesn't really matter.
Sure. That's kind of what I was referring to.
Yeah, and
that
everybody has-
Everyone to get a moment, if they can, before that meeting to go check it out. That'd be great.
And when we have the meeting in May, you have all the plans and everything of the transit center and past reports, so we can include that as part of our discussion.
Okay. Are there any other comments?
I have a question. On the director's report, you had mentioned an archway. I missed that note. What?
The
So
location?
this is the new idea, which is, very similar to what you're talking about at Kingsdale. It's a gateway to Redondo. So
And this came from where?
council.
Their idea was to put an archway somewhere similar to the Redondo Beach, whatever that thing.
Right. But that's been expanded and kind of changed. So they're not married to the idea of an archway. Now what they're asking us to come back to them with is, I think the goal is to create Artesia Boulevard as a destination, so definitely creative placemaking. So it could be 20 art projects all along the boulevard. It could be a light project that spans the boulevard. It could be a sound project. It could be, it could be anything, right? And yeah. And it might be an arch or it might not be.
Are they sending it to us?
So the
To ask us?
question came up in council.
It was agendized on the January 17th meeting of City
It was
Council.
on their strategic plan this goes
Right.
back.
Okay.
Do they need our help, or are they just doing
Well,
it on their own?
eventually they will, yeah.
Okay,
Once they
that's-
approve something, it'll definitely come back here, yeah. As
That's-
long as what they finally decide to do is related to public art.
I see. Okay.
If they decide to erect an arch that has no artistic component at all, they just want to hire an architect to design an arch.
This is my question and why I'm asking. Back to this sole sourcing idea. An architect is an artist.
Right.
City council themselves end up voting for anything we push forward. Correct? Something from this council at some point that goes up to them and they sign something. In the event of something like this, city council has at their discretion, has the ability to pick an architecture. I mean, do they go through a process as well?
I mean, I think the planning department would probably come back to them with a recommendation. And just like if they were selecting art,
put
they
a
would
bid.
want to understand why planning,
Yeah.
picked the architect they picked. But yeah, I keep going.
This is my argument for certain projects to sole source something in the event that we do have, because I'm not arguing any case. I just want it to be known on this council and whoever's watching that it's not a standard, that we do have the ability on this commission to put forth projects and vote, that it's not a set in stone rule. There's no law on the books that prevents us from taking a vote and sending it up to council for, at their discretion, to make a vote on something. That's all. That's all.
But probably most cities, because they do RFPs for different construction companies.
Yeah.
A lot of times they look for diverse minority construction companies, women-owned. They probably don't just pick somebody. They usually do an RFP.
They'll do an RFP.
They do an RFP and then
They'll
choose
do an
between.
RFP.
But I guess
understand
one of
what you're
my
saying.
one of my
You're
things is
trying to make sure it's
in the
known
event
that a sole source-
that we do sole source. This is just I'm just trying to understand the mechanization of up there. I'm new to this, up there and things coming down and us from going up.
Yeah.
It is possible to sole source something, have the public decide somehow, have them decide 5 projects, same idea, and instead of putting it up to council or us, some kind of poll system where they pick 5 things that they like, that it's open. I'm just trying to figure those type of things
As
out.
long as it's agreed upon. I mean, that's the whole point. Everyone has to be like, this should happen. Everyone, not just
sorry.
a few.
I'll bring you a client.
Good to go. I just had the question about where the archway came from
Yeah.
and that.
I just had a question. Where's the transit station, the artwork that got moved? Where did they decide, the city council, where did they finally decide to move it?
No, you,
The gateway.
Yeah.
He just said that he's going to put it on, it's going to go up to city council to get on their agenda.
Oh, I thought you said they decided.
no.
they're
it's
gonna-
Because we now
going
know
to.
what the artist,
It has to go on city council agenda next.
Got it.
For the Redondo location, the Redondo Park.
Well, that's the thing. Okay, so they did agree on Redondo Park.
We
no,
agreed.
you did.
We
We
agreed.
did, but I thought that got vetoed because of there was some reason.
No.
Well, there was.
They were checking the-
Staff wanted to find out about power lines underneath, but it
Okay.
appears that we're okay.
Okay. Okay, if there are no other questions on that
And I
section,
just,
or
I mean, but keep in mind now that what you're talking about for me to work on are utility boxes, a major piece by a major artist in a new parquet, if that gets approved by city council, a major project on Artesia Boulevard possibly. And these are things that are directed by city council, so I don't have a choice about that, What am I leaving out? At least one mural, which you've already approved. So if it were only that, if it were only those 4 projects, that would be a full-time job for a public art manager, right? My full-time job is managing the Performing Arts Center, right? And I'm also trying to do work for the Historical Commission. I want to do as much work as I possibly can for you. Currently I'm working almost 7 days a week. I worked every day over the holiday between December 21st and January 2nd. And most of that, most of my non-Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 time is spent either on the Historic Commission or Public Art. So when I say, that I can't do something, it's not because I don't want to, it's because the other items are really high priority. Either my boss is telling me I have to do it, or city council is directing it, or, bills have to be paid, right? So, staff has to be paid. So I really want to do everything I can for you.
Can we use some of our budget to hire you as an assistant?
Well, this was one of the things I didn't mention today, but I am going to try to pursue looking into whether or not and it'll have to come to you, the public, currently the Public Art Fund is required to set aside 5% for maintenance, right? If we're allowed to also set aside a certain percentage for administration expenses, which every other public percent for art ordinance that I know of does, then we could hire some contract project art managers, which would, who would only work on the Gateway project or only work on Kingsdale or only work on, right? And it would be a very part-time job for them. Maybe they're doing project management in LA and Glendale and other places as well. And if that's a go-ahead, if we can do that, then we can take on as many public art projects as you want.
That's something that definitely, that's never been brought up before. I think it's something that would, well, I guess we'll have to just discuss it. I'd be game. We got 900,000 in the coffers, right?
I mean, in any
pay
other
somebody to do some of
program,
our
there would be
work.
a percent for administration. Right?
But we don't. We never have.
Well, maybe we do. I mean, it's just a question of how the lawyers will read the ordinance, It doesn't say we can't. I mean, currently, like, you spent money on the guy who does the wraps, who actually produces the vinyl wraps.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, that's not an artistic expense, that's an administrative expense, right? He's
That's
not,
true.
I mean, would you call the person who takes an artist's image and turns it into a vinyl wrap, is that an artist?
Well, it's part of the artistic process. So, so yes, in a sense, that is part of the artwork.
Well, and wouldn't the person managing the process be part of the process?
I'm not saying that it wouldn't. I'm just saying.
Right. It's a gray issue right now. I don't know what the answer will be.
Yeah, but it sounds like if we're understaffed and we have so much work to get done, it might.
I think on top of that, I would like us as a committee to really come up with a strong priority list. I know we all come with ideas and excitements to add this and add that. I think it's important for us to really know the limitations that we have, not fight it, not get frustrated with it, but understand the parameters we have and to really make a priority list so these things do get done and we see them happening versus each meeting adding more and more where, then we'll see nothing get done because it's just too spread out.
And we talked about setting that task for the
priority.
January meeting, but because we lost the November meeting, that had to be pushed back. So just doing a priority list is going to have to come in the next, I don't know, the March meeting seems to have filled up quite extensively. So maybe we need to look at that and look at the master plan and when we want to start that project. And we're going to, once the city has tasked us with looking whether we want to recommend or not a mural ordinance, and we're waiting for Glendale to see what they do as a guideline. And so we have a lot of things that are coming up that should be put in a priority order, so.
So our next meeting is March, and so then the one after May, can we agendize a priority list?
For which meeting?
For the May meeting, where we can come up with a priority list so we are not spreading the staff too thin on all of our projects and ideas.
And I would recommend that if we're going to do that, before that meeting, for whatever timeline Mr. Margolis suggests to us, that each commissioner take their list of priorities and send it to him so that we can review those as a body rather than reading from something.
Okay,
That's for May.
for May. we have to say that to get agendas? Or no, just we,
That's a referral to staff.
okay.
If you want to put something on an agenda, you should make a motion.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that on our May meeting that we prioritize our list of
Put that item on the agenda. Prioritizing on the agenda.
agendas. The item. Is there a second?
I second it.
She's only been on the
To
job a
make a
couple hours.
motion to add to the agenda for the May meeting, a priority list of projects for the Public Art Commission for calendar year 2023, moving into 2024.
Can I say ditto? Since she worded it so nicely. Second?
That was my motion.
Oh, okay, that was your motion. Second?
I second it.
Commissioner Sharma seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nay? No? Okay. Then we'll move on to item K, member items and referral to staff. If there's a referral to staff, anyone? No. Okay.
Did you have a public comment
Public comment.
Public comment
for the director's report?
for the,
Okay.
I don't want you to go back and have to waste time. I just want to make it, can I just say real quick? If you need an assistant, you probably should ask the city for the money, or ask, just a suggestion, I'd hate to see that money come out of the public art. I know it sounds like a lot of money, but we have a lot of things on the agenda that need to be taken care of. And I would say, get a part, maybe if they're loading you up with so much work and you're trying to get used to this job, it's overwhelming. So say, hey, Mike, maybe you can get, that's what I would suggest. I just have to say that. Don't touch the public art money right now.
I agree. I was going to say that art money's art money.
or let's all send a message to our manager who manages the situation. Okay, so if there's no more public comment and there are no member items or referral to staff, we'll move to item L, which is adjournment. The next meeting of the Redondo Beach Art Commission will be regular meeting to be held at 7 p.m. on March 22nd, 2023 in the Redondo Beach Council Chamber at 415 Diamond Street, Redondo Beach, California. And the time is 9:46.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, motion to adjourn at 9:46 p.m.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?